Hey everybody, I thought I would do a video for you guys today doing a breakdown for complete shoulder development. Now this one's going to be a little more complicated because when I'm talking about shoulders, I'm talking about both the deltoids and the trapezius, and we need to keep in mind the deltoid has three completely different heads and it is the largest muscle in the upper body, and a lot of people are not aware of that. And it's because it's so big and wraps around and it's deep and it's not spread thin, across the way like you can see the pecs or the lats. A lot of people think those muscles are bigger. But in fact, in studies, they found that the deltoids are the largest muscle in the upper body. And of course, they have three different functions. So when it comes to basic shoulder development, I will tell you that a lot of your shoulder development itself will come from your pushing and pulling. And I would say that the exercises that work the front delts the best are going to tend to be presses, and particularly anything that's an incline or an overhead press. I'm a big fan of the incline, so you saw me doing it there. And I would say to a lot of people, if you're already benching and doing other chest work, and you're doing either incline or overhead press, you may not need to really think about your front delts at all. Because when it comes to all these other exercises, almost all of them hit the front delts. So I included there first for you guys to see the incline and the rowing. So the thing with the front delts is that even two of these other shoulder exercises hit the front delts very effectively. Okay, so anything that works the side delt will absolutely work the front delt, the anterior deltoid. So when you see the upright rows and the laterals, they're obviously going to hit that. So again, I don't always prescribe or include a lot of things for front delts. I do for some people who really need it for benching, but if you're just trying to get really jacked, you may not need to really think about them. And I'm not saying never, but I'm saying it's not really that big of a deal. Because particularly the incline bench, if you're flat and incline benching, your front delts are getting a ton of work. And again, all the other shoulder stuff hits them also. So when it comes to things like the posterior delt, things like the traps, yeah, you can isolate the posterior delts and it's not a bad idea, but think about all the other movements we do. Even if you do pull-ups, pull-ups work the posterior delts decently well, especially with a wide grip. I feel like they're better than chin-ups. But rows in particular, they hammer that posterior delt. And for a lot of people, you can build pretty big rear delts off of rowing, right? And again, because of the nature of the row, you look at the angles involved, they can tend to work the rear delts pretty well. Now, for a lot of people, they may not be enough to maximize it, but they're certainly enough to get some real solid growth there. And then the same thing when we come to the trapezius. Okay, most of the trapezius is actually the middle and lower, not that part you see up top. But rows really are phenomenal for building your traps. And again, for many people, you can probably get most of your trap development and pretty dang big traps off of rows, off of your deadlifts, things like that. All right, so we do need to get that out of the way. When we're talking about doing these other movements you see me doing, just keep in mind you're going to get a pretty fair amount of development in the posterior delts and traps doing these other things, particularly the traps. So again, incline bench, rowing are stuff that I have shown in here because they're a critical part of your shoulder development, okay? But that being said, we say that for most people, yeah, you can build pretty good delts there. But what about people who want really good delts? Like, I need to bring mine up. I need to bring up my delts in my arms, right, at this point in this video. It's one reason I'm doing all these different angles. So what might we want to add? I don't think that an overhead press is the first thing we need to always be thinking about adding, okay? So I want to be clear there, and I'm not saying overhead pressing can't be useful, but I wouldn't worry about that so much unless you absolutely need it. So if we're really just trying to get the capped delts, This is where these movements that work the side delt are what you really want. Because the side delt gets some splash over from these others, but I'm going to say it's definitely one of those heads that if you were really trying to maximize it, you probably need to do one, possibly even two other exercises for it. Now, in this case, I really like the two that you see me doing here. Now, you can do other variations of them, but you really, really should put quite a bit of focus on I think, lateral raises. But I like upright rows also. So I tend to like to oftentimes for a muscle, I like the idea of doing a compound and then an isolation movement for any muscle that you really, really need to bring up. You know, just like for my chest day, I do flat and incline bench, and I like to throw in some flies. Okay, not a bad idea. So the same thing when it comes to the side delts there. I like an upright row. And a lot of people are scared of upright rows, but I think the overall data shows that as long as you really focus on the bottom part, you're going to work the side delt. And if you don't try to bring it all the way up to your chin, you don't use too close of a grip, it is probably pretty safe for your shoulders. Okay? Probably pretty safe. And of course, you can do snatch grip high pulls and things like that also, but we also deal with the fatigue side. They're great for Olympic lifting, and I have built some of my power lifters up with them in the past. But realistically, on the stimulus to fatigue, that upright row is probably better. A nice, clean, pretty strict upright row. Focus on the stretch at the bottom. Okay, works great. All right. I like lateral raises, though, to really finish the side delt off. And I've had people try to tell me, oh, you should be doing them super. You shouldn't be doing anything super slow. All right, you should control your negatives, but super slow reps have been found generally to produce less muscle growth. So I don't know why it's an idea that people still hold on to. But laterals, and you can do them one arm. You can do both arms at the same time. You can do them one at a time. Okay. It all works. It all works. You can use dumbbells, you can use cables, you can use plates. I don't think there's that distinctive of a difference between them. Okay? Do whatever you enjoy, whatever's comfortable. But the main thing is, again, having a little bit of control on them. Okay? Trying not to cheat too much. All right? Works great. But I think that combination of an upright row and a lateral raise will blow your side delts up. Okay? Works wonders. And then, of course, you do see me soon doing some rear delt flies in here. I think that, again, for many people, incorporating a rear delt fly is not a bad idea. Now, of course, people are like, how are you going to get all this work in? Well, if your split routine is good and you're not doing crazy volumes, it's not that hard to get all this in. Okay, so even for me, I tend to, at the time this video is made, I'm doing like 6 sets of muscle group, in some cases 8 per week. So again, on the shoulder days, you come in and do 2 sets of each of these. Okay, you can get it done pretty quick. Just train hard, take most of these sets to failure. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.